I forgot that we had this locked and loaded a little bit early because there's still a lot of messages in chat already. Hello, hello, folks.
Oh, what? Whoops.
They haven't been able to hear us. They should hear us now, though.
Yeah.
Well, chat, you know what to do to signal whether or not you can hear us.
They are putting crabs in chat.
Right in
Oh,
chat.
what?
Oh, crap.
No,
Yes.
no.
Crabs in chat.
Everyone
Crab,
hit me
crab,
with your
crab,
favorite
crab.
ragtime lyric if you were privy to our previous conversations. Anyway, hello, everybody. Welcome to our hunting party season 2 finale Q&A. We're going to be going on a brief break for a few months before we return to the Beastlands, but before we disappear into Brux, we're here to answer some questions from you folks who are all spamming crab in chat at everyone's egging on. I should have. It's a real I don't know what I expect situation. But yeah, thank
Get
you
the
so much
shrimp out of
for
there. Hold on now.
have some decorum, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still time to find weird shrimp.
True.
After all, what is spoiler, but a really big weird shrimp?
I don't know that we could spoiler anything at this point because the season is
they've heard
done,
it
so
all.
we haven't
Yeah,
recorded
we-
anything else.
We made it to the end.
Are shrimp crepuscular?
Are shrimps crepuscular?
Are shrimp crepuscular? Please hold while I
shrimp
Google.
crepuscular? First off, I'm sure the answer is it varies by shrimp, but if I had to give an answer, I would guess no, they don't really operate like that on the same cycle. But I don't. I would guess that there's a wide variety based on where they can be found.
Ghost shrimp are crepuscular.
Ghost
Oh, neat.
shrimp?
Ghost shrimp.
All right.
The
Not to
crepuscular
bring
ghost shrimp.
What?
All right,
With
Adam,
all
you're
or
up.
the ghost shrimp?
Yeah. Palamontis paludosus, the ghost shrimp, the crepuscular one. You know.
Right.
We all
Thank
know.
you to nobody in particular in the chat who started asking questions. We're here to answer your questions in this Q&A and not just debate the corpuscular ability of shrimp. So with that, we're going to kick this off with a question from the email. If you're listening back to this in the VOD, we got some questions from email, some questions coming live in chat. And we'll be doing this for about an hour. So if you have any questions you want to ask while you're listening along with us live, pop those questions into chat. But this first one comes from Iris in the email to Austin. Through this campaign, we have seen a beautifully interesting version of the Beastlands. Where do you draw from for sources on the plane? Is there a specific book, old or new, or is it mostly homebrew? So where do you get your information to help build out the Beastlands?
Oh, excellent question. It's going to be a similar answer to the past, which is that I get ideas from the canon. So looking into various Planescape sources, and if Pops is around, I'm sure we'll drop a link to various second edition Planescape books that you could just Google and find a lot of that stuff. Either people put it onto onto a wiki for free, or you can often find the old books. Or worst case scenario, you could buy digital copies off the DM's Guild. And then yes, I also use it is homebrew. You can get it on the DM's Guild. Excuse me, I can't speak. Get it on the DM's Guild, and I use these sources all the time. It's a Codex of the Infinite Planes, and there's a different supplement for every single plane. The Beastlands has some good stuff, and that's where I've gotten a lot of the ideas for some of the Beast Lords. But a lot of stuff. Oh, and the Blackstone Lodge as well. But a lot is also homebrew. So I've come up with a lot of Beast Lords. A lot of the locations are homebrew, just ideas that I've had. A lot of that comes from we've done a couple of live streams. If you're in our Patreon, you can join a certain level. You can join some prep live streams we've done where we make the maps, and people come up with ideas for cool things. And the resources on the map making software have cool icons I get inspired by and drop in. So it's a combination of all those three things. But yeah, if you are curious yourself to look up some sources, I would say either look up second edition Planescape stuff, or you can check out the Codex of the Infinite Planes, which those are great resources.
Yeah. We do a lot of work to make the settings feel like our own just through the way that we play the games, but Austin does a lot of great legwork in like consolidating all of the various sources of information and adding his own spin to it. So it's always very cool to see what pops up as someone who like is vaguely familiar with a lot of different aspects of the Planescape, what is familiar and what is new and what I just maybe completely missed before. So you do a great job with that.
You.
But yeah, this next question comes from nobody in particular in the chat. Question for everyone. This is the second season finale where the party talked their way through instead of fighting. Is there anything in particular that made people feel more cautious overall? Why have we not been
Yeah,
throwing
why you guys such
hands?
cowards?
Why aren't we murder hoboing our way
maybe
through
the fact that we
beastlands?
fucking maybe the fact that we like this is like the literal lion's den as far as like Garou's arch enemies, and it's like just full of allies and stuff on like for Nur and the Blackened Rings. Like, oh my god, Austin made it very clear that it was just like we were in enemy territory. Why would we want to fight in that scenario? You know, that
So
was
there's a
my
moral component, you know? Like
Yeah.
fighting people is different from fighting dangerous creatures. It's always kind of one of the weird elements of fantasy world building is that like some people are the line drawn between people and monster and creature it tends to be kind of vague at best, but these guys are just fully just people. And you know, even people who make choices to be bad are still making choices and they can theoretically choose otherwise. But
Yeah. Like with the planescape specifically, the idea of mortals can choose their alignment, can change their alignment is like a critical component of it, right? The beholders of the world are not necessarily able to make that choice. So like when we're facing Basilics, not doing that fight is, if for Katya's calculus was simply a survival choice of like, oh well, we'll all die here immediately if we try to fight this beholder right now. But yeah, with the season 2 finale, I feel like, well, for one thing, for Katya's part, she was not about to die for Garou's vendetta. But also like Red and Noir were saying, like these were very powerful, very mortal people, and it was a much more complicated situation than something where you should just go in guns blazing. And so being able to kind of like talk our way out of it and put a pin in any sort of confrontation that might need to happen for a later day um, was, I think, the move. And I think it's interesting that we've had kind of two different versions of, sometimes in these games the role play aspect of a TTRPG does kind of trump the TT part, tabletop of it all. Like sometimes it doesn't have to end in a conflict or a combat. Role play conflict can be just as dramatic. So I think it's been interesting to see that kind of play out in two different ways.
Yeah, and as for me, I made the nurse stat block. Like 90% of it. I'm sure Austin's going to make his own changes. But yeah, Nur is just the other half of Garou's story, and for us to get there, going guns blazing, wouldn't have gone well. So
yeah, honestly, Kireek was worried. I think Kireek was worried that Garou would go in guns blazing, you know? Like there's that element of like, are we going to go? It has Garou agreed to talk to Nur just so that he can get close to them and like try and catch them while they're down. Also, that Nur and the Blackened Rings are dealing with like this sickness, this illness, and so if there was a time to do it, now might be the time to do it. And so I think that was why Kireek, um, honestly, once he got a crab, his familiar, to like put it on Garou so that Kireek could keep tabs on Garou should they separate and Garou were to have a conversation separately with Nur. That didn't end up happening, so nothing came of it. But just like that was the reason for that.
Trist doesn't like fighting people because for the same reason Superman doesn't like fighting people. it's
And does Triss consider herself a Superman type?
Well, does Superman consider himself a Superman type? I'm sorry, it's just the power code is bad.
He goes by Superman.
Triss does not like hurting people, and people are way more squishy than the things that she normally fights.
Yeah, no, it's a complicated situation, but I think that those complications can be appropriately dramatic. And yeah, for Katya's part, she was not about to throw hands if it had turned into a fight. I think she was just going to be like, all right, well, I'm leaving. This is not something that I want to do right now. But yeah, we've got more questions in chat. This one from Varnan, 1022. Question for Austin. You mentioned that the crew got to Brux 8 episodes later than you expected. Was the plan always to kill Vasilix and co. this season, or did you envision a different role for him?
I kind of assumed, and by the way, this was a bad assumption. But I just kind of assumed that the first season would be the first layer of the Beastlands, and they would defeat the big bad at the end, and that 10 episodes would be enough to get through it all, because that's what's basically always happened in the past. But I didn't take into account that having solo episodes, I assumed because they were powerful and they were going to be progressing the story in their solo episodes, those would count as a full episode in terms of progressing the story. And for some reason, they weren't. Um, that may seem silly because you're like, well, it didn't have everyone, so of course it didn't. But I was like, I don't know, but I think each of their own investigations will move the story forward as much as if all four of them were there. But that wasn't the case, and so it took them a lot longer to get through things. And I actually wrote something about this on our Patreon. I did kind of a post. I've done postmortems for the first and second seasons where I talked about what I think went well and what I think went badly. And I was talking this season, I was like, I was actually very lucky that they didn't kill Vasilix at the end of season 1, because I think they needed to meet Vasilix. I think bad guys are much more intimidating. They carry a lot more weight when you've had time to interact with them instead of just showing up into the dungeon and they are there and you talk to them and then you kill them, and it's kind of flat. I think that it was important that they got to meet Vasilix at least once, so I'm glad they didn't. But yeah, at first I kind of assumed that they would just blitz right through and kill him, for the best though. And then I think that the killing of Vasilix also went well in this season, because I think if it had gone any earlier, that they would have had too long in Brux. It would no longer have been it would no longer be like new and interesting. They would have kind of gotten their feet underneath them. And if they'd done it any later, we might not have ended up in Brux. Nothing would have happened. It would have potentially ended up like, and Welcome to Brux, which would have been an okay ending. But I think this was a better ending, because Welcome to Brux is a big what happens now, and meeting Noir is a big, oh God, what's gonna happen now? Kind of moment. So I'm happy. Did I answer that question? I feel like I went off track a little bit there.
I think you answered that question.
I think you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that was the timing of things and how I feel like it all worked out and what my original stupid thoughts were, but I couldn't have known they were stupid at the time. So
Yeah. We've got another question. This one comes from Povs in chat. To everyone, Garou and Katya went very close to go at each other's throats this season. If it ever comes to you guys actually doing PvP, which is player versus player, how would y'all go about it, as it's never happened before? So how would we handle a PvP conflict if it came up? And I think that there's examples of how we might go about this already kind of in the text, as it were, because sometimes we'll have roles that get called for where Austin will say, this is a player decision. Do you think that this is a role required for these like insight checks and whatnot that pop up? And he does a very good job of like giving us the agency to say, well, is this a character beat we want to keep in there, or do we think that this is up to the dice? And I imagine that any actual combat that might break out is going to be much leaning harder on the dice, but also that we might have a conversation as we get into it about, you know, are we throwing hands right now? Is this actually happening, or is this like a role play encounter? We've also talked off mic on after little postmortems of sessions we've done, or like as we were preparing for the campaign, how do we all feel about PvP? So everyone kind of knows each other's boundaries when it comes to that. And I think for the most part, all of us were like, yeah, I'll throw hands if it's narratively satisfying. Fuck me up,
I think it depends on the extremity of the conflict. For the most part, we've kept things rather under control. But if we reach a boiling point, a tipping point where Garou is no longer a member of the Knights and it needs to leave the party, it comes down to what my original plan was, to just create a monster stat block and hand it over to Austin. That way it's less PvP and we can keep everybody on at the table at the same footing,
You don't want to do PvP?
I do, but
yeah, come on, man.
I also have notes for
that though.
Yeah, and I have a fun Garou lost under the influence of Malar stat block that I would love to throw at people.
Yeah, and for my part, I've been as fast as possible preparing as many contingencies for every single party member turning on Katya as I possibly could. I've been trying to Batman all of you, and I think I've done pretty good. Honestly, I think I can handle pretty much everyone. The question is when you guys team up, if it would be an issue. But I think Katya can at least escape with her life in most scenarios.
Wow.
Yeah. We're just getting a quick note. Wally is a little bit louder than the rest of us, so if we could adjust that on
Yes.
OBS. But in the meantime, I will be reading off another question. Another one for Wally from the chat. This comes from Skip6235. Question for Wally. It seems Garou is trying to change to be less violent and get out of his pact, but the party isn't really acknowledging it. Is this frustrating for him, or does he not care?
Ooh. As for Garou's relationship with his pact, is difficult. He's at the way the season ends is that he's at a crossroads as to whether or not he's going to double down, and maintain his pact with Malar, or ultimately join in with the group. And that's not, in terms of he's conflicted. He's not really at a point where he is angry at the party or anything like that. I think I wanted him to get to, I didn't think he'd get to some sort of crossroads, but the way season 2 has played out, he's there. He's at a really, what's the metaphor? He's ready to be molded. And as for audio issues, I'm currently running everything through my OBS, so I have to adjust everything on my end. Just give me a moment.
Yeah, so while he's adjusting that, we've got a couple other questions to get to. This one is for me from Crystal Warrior in chat. Did you know Katya's backstory, or did you just give Austin a vague notion and tell him to figure something out? Definitely more on the vague notion side of things. I'm not kidding when I say in episodes that like all of this is new information to me as well. Like I have guesses that I can make because I'm like, well, I told you that I wanted to be a werecat, so if I had to guess which beast lord might be interested in Katya, I could take a hint. But yeah, no, I gave Austin like I would like to have made a deal with an entity. You can decide what that entity is. I don't have any memories for the time previous to 2 years. You can decide whatever you wanted Katya to be doing before then. And so all of it is new to me as well. We're all learning. Hey, we're all learning the answer to these mysteries together at the same time.
Sophia will be dead in the ground before she gives Austin a backstory.
Yeah, that's accurate. I like writing short paragraphs.
The difference is in the past, it's mostly been like, yeah, like there's nothing really to interrogate, and this time it was deliberately it was a big question mark. So yes, almost everything has been new information.
This time the question mark was flipped around and used as a plot hook instead of just kind of being present and a neutral endpoint.
And the funny thing
was
is,
explicitly not a plot hook. You were like, I don't want Dani to have.
I don't want to be
secret
royalty.
Like that.
Yeah,
exactly. And that was all good.
The chosen one.
There was yeah, that that works out pretty well. I think it's obviously super fun to have those. That was Kiana's whole thing was the question mark, right? We didn't know anything about Kiana's past, and that was super great source of plot hook and story and drama. But I do think that there's maybe like kind of an overemphasis on that a lot of people will bake those into their backstories. I think it's more of a sometimes food. I think if one out of 4 players has that, then then that is more than enough. So I appreciate both.
Yeah, it's the balancing act of having both versions in a group, right? Or in our case, we have kind of a 4-person spectrum of what level of story and like background nonsense happens in any given character. We make the joke about Red plays the audience surrogate character because willfully not learning anything about the Planescape so that her characters don't know it. So it's just role play.
Don't give me homework.
No, it's great. I think that's awesome because like me and Wally have a little bit more experience with the traditional D&D Planescape, so we know a little bit more info going in, and as a result can play characters that might be a little bit more savvy in that regard. But even just like to that coat of plot hooks that Red has alluded to before, I think it's often fun to be the everyman character in a group, which is a nice balancing point to characters that have a bit more active things going on in their backstory. Obviously, Katya is a little bit, in a weird way, kind of an exception to the rule, but also, I don't know what the exception is yet, so we'll all find that out together, huh?
yeah, and in terms of like Garou backstory stuff, that document is like, I think it's like 10
Wally
pages.
Wally is the exact opposite end of the Sophia spectrum of like, well, I gave Austin like 2 lines and then he told me I had to come up with more NPCs for Dani, so I did. And Wally's like, I prepared for you a fully fleshed out document that outlines every significant event of this character's life, and it's beautiful. I love it.
And the one
funny because I think
point of like, Malar stuff, I did not touch any of the Kitten Lord stuff, and Austin still threw that in. I'm just like, okay, sure.
We all have like completely different inconvenient character building habits now that I think about it. Because like, Wally dropped like, 15 pages of Garou backstory and has like a whole binder of planned arc. And I didn't do that for Tris, but I did just randomly keep building out NPCs in her backstory because I'd been left unsupervised. And I thought it was funny. But that doesn't include doing any homework on the Beastlands or anything like that.
Yeah.
I think I'm perfect in how I make my character.
I would say so, Noir. That's why you're my favorite.
Hey.
Hey, no.
If you guys want to be the favorite, you could try harder.
Oh my God.
I'm willing to be flexible. Dance for me.
Well, why don't we give you a question then, Austin, from chat, so that we can, try and pander to your sensibilities.
Teacher's pet.
This one comes from Meta Congruous. How do you go about making D&D combat more strategic? I'm struggling to offer meaningful choices in my combats. So we've run some very fun, very strategic combats this season.
You are not alone. Yeah. So, how do I make them more? I don't. You're flattering me because I don't know that I do. Some of them have been strategic, but I feel like it's something I struggle with as well. So you're flattering me by asking me. D&D, especially the the newest version, I would not say is a game that really emphasizes high tactics.
No. No, it is not.
Or strategy. It's really easy to lose track of what's going on in the fight because you have to take so long between turns. And there's not even flanking anymore, so like positioning is not as big a deal. It's really easy to get advantage or disadvantage. So, and those are the only buffs you can really get, right? Like you can cast a bless, there are some things, but for the most part, it's the on-off advantage, disadvantage, and it's pretty easy to get those kinds of things. So it's kind of harder to be tactical. I would bet honestly that the new weapon rules, the maneuvers or whatever they're called, they're not maneuvers, it's the battle master thing, but the properties, the weapon properties, probably helps a little. Although I think we always forget that those exist because only Garou attacks with a weapon, and is often doing so many other things anyway that we kind of forget about his weapons property. Anyway, this is all to say, how can you do it? How can you do it? Good maps, inspiring maps, taking a long time looking for through maps can help you come up with something that's interesting because you can place characters far away, you can constrain your characters, and I try to come up with a variety of like big open space. They're going to have to cover a lot of ground. There's a lot of guys. They're going to be difficult to all get to. Versus constrained space. No one's going to be able to get away. Like they're going to be able to roll up on the wizard really easily. I think you guys saw that with the like lava room fight with the Drangolins, the shield scale Drangolins, when they were storming Vasilix's lair. So I try to come up with a variety of those kinds of things. Environmental hazards that can be you could be like pushed or pulled in and out of are super helpful. And objectives are super hard because there's not rules for objectives, but you can kind of make rules for objectives. I think that I still haven't topped defusing the bomb from the end of campaign 1, where Dani nobly sacrificed herself and created I forget which spell it was, but the shield, the bubble that she was trapped in, anti-life shell maybe.
No, anti-life shell doesn't actually.
That one just keeps people
attacks.
out. Yeah,
I think it was Autoluke's
Resilient Sphere. I think it's
Yeah.
Autoluke's
definitely Resilient Sphere because nothing can get in or out.
Resilient Sphere. Yeah, exactly. But then got in herself to defuse it. Like that was extremely heroic. It was very tense because you could have ignored it, but the action it helped out with the action economy, but you decided not to, which was, made it challenging for everyone else, but also it, meant that there was less chance the bomb was going to go off and destroy everything. That was, I think, about as high tactics and strategy as you could get. So other objectives, especially saving someone, like make it clear that there's a hostage that needs saving, and then make them very squishy. Make them very squishy. Telegraph to your players that they're squishy. Don't surprise them and be like, "Oh, one arrow, they're dead," and then they go, "What?" You can be like, "By the way, guys, this character has this character has 12 hit points." and the bad
Yeah,
guys want to win.
Elite.
something
So
I think you
keep
got
that
very
in
close
mind,
to
you know.
that bomb defusal in this campaign was when we had to close that opening portal in the first season when we went to go save the
Mm,
warden. You kind of mushed a bunch of
yes.
things together because one, the warden was around somewhere. We had to go figure that out. And also there was like that opening temple happening simultaneously. And so how do you end the combat and also, not let this, portal to hell or whatever the fuck it was open up? And yeah, I think you're like right on the money of like giving other objectives, whether that's like an environmental problem that's going to pop up, like the room is filling with lava,
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
Yeah,
you
the
have to do
ritual
some other
that's going to
thing.
succeed. One of
Yeah.
the greatest combats, I'm sorry, I'm sticking on this a long time, but one of the greatest
No,
combats
please.
we've ever run was Noir's campaign, where it was like 60 bad guys, but the goal wasn't to kill all of them, it was to stop the ritual. But it
Oh
turns out
yeah.
when you have 60
Hmm.
bad guys on the battlefield, like it's really hard to stop the ritual. So it was like, do we kill all of them? Okay, but the ritual's still going on. So do we stop the ritual? Well, when we turn our backs, they all start stabbing us. And
Mhm.
even though they're all like, CR1 half, when you get 15 attack rolls from CR1 half, that it's brutal. So yeah, having I think putting skill challenges like we've adopted into our campaigns into a combat is a literally during the fight when there's still bad guys out is a great way to do it. All right, I pass the mic on this one. I don't want to monopolize any more time.
I tend to
All
think
right.
of fight choreography in this particular way as finding lateral ways to challenge characters because like this is a pretty common conversation in like power scaling concerns because D&D, we all level up, we get stronger fairly regularly. Any situation like that, it's like we need to find new ways to challenge our heroes, and there's also the additional element that we're not just a game, we are also a show, which means ideally things continue to be interesting, which usually means mixing things up. So it can't just be bigger threat, more hit points, spongier health bar. It's got to be like weirder shit is going on. So when you challenge characters for whom like power is not the primary consideration, usually you need to throw things at them that they are not precision built to deal with. Because it's like if you give Superman progressively bigger things to break in half, he's not going to really have that much trouble. But if you give him like, here's a burning building, rescue everybody inside, it's like, okay, cool. This might be easy for somebody else, but it's going to kind of be a hoist for him.
Mhm.
So like you said, like lateral, like different objectives, different threats. It helps, we've all our characters have different skill sets. Like we're all good in a fight, but like outside of that, good at different things. So the skill challenges are fun. I have never in my life made a character who's good at them, so I always feel a little bit about them. It's like, can I just burn a spell slot and be useful instead? But it
I
is
think
one of the ways that D&D can be made more interesting is being like, okay, do something else your character is good at other than hitting stuff really hard.
yeah, to kind of like crystallize that into a final point that ties into Austin's thing is like I think there's an example of when the players can inadvertently turn on their head the complications the DM has set up for them. In our first campaign, there's an episode where we go to do a race in Pandemonium, and only so many people can be on the motorcycle. And I think Austin
Mhm.
kind of expected that it would be Dani and one of the other party members, presumably, and thus splitting our firepower in half. So when the other half of the party runs into Endelion, he's not going to just get clowned on. But instead, Dani took an NPC who's much squishier and much riskier into the fight. But that meant that the action economy was deeply on the side of the players when they went to go fight that big bad, basically. And so it kind of, sometimes it's going to split the party to the player's advantage. But if you want to add some conflict, split the party, split people's specialties up, and
Yeah.
every character is built for different things, so they're going to be good at different things. Not all of them are going to be high survivability combat. Katya alone would be a bad combatant. Generally, she's more of a support character.
Katya's the only one who knows how to play a primary
Yeah.
spellcaster in this party because
I'm
I'm too
always
tanky.
I'm always pro splitting the party. I think it's a great way to add tension to your fights. But as mentioned,
Big
we
agree.
could yeah, we could talk about this for many time, but we got more questions to get to. This comes from M in the email. With all the dragon talk this season, I was wondering if your characters and Austin as an NPC of his choice were dragons, what would their hordes be?
Mm.
So if the hunting party and an NPC of Austin's choice had a horde, what would that horde be?
Hmm.
I mean, the funniest answer for Katya is like yarn, bunch
Mm.
of bunch of worms on a string.
Toys, springs. Dude, Wolf
Yeah,
goes
loose
crazy for spring
springs.
toys.
But
Mm.
I think the real answer is that she's hoarding snacks in the hat of holding, and if you think about like like a bunch of chips or something for too long, they're gonna they're in there. She's been doing this for 2 years, and she's been forgetting about them as she puts them in there.
Ew. I think Kireek would just go full magpie, just tiny like little shiny trinkets and stuff, which I guess technically coins fall under that, so maybe not too different from a dragon, but yeah.
I can't really imagine Trystine having any attitude other than the one she kind of already has, which is hoarding people. People you care about, people who are your friends are your hoard. And grandmother kind of has the same attitude. Like grandmother has stuff, but that's not really why she sticks around the town. So it's not the like best answer, but I think it is the
I
only
mean,
one
it could
that's
get
true to who she is.
really ominous really quickly, but you clarified that you're making a lot of friends, not just hoarding the bones of people, so I think you're okay.
Not like people are only interesting when they're alive, okay? We don't do that necromancy bullshit in this
Necromancers
house.
would disagree.
Necromancers would be wrong.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at me, I made a flesh puppet, and that's the same thing as having a friend. Grow up.
Yeah. Yeah, Garou is not really the kind of person. He has enough baggage, he's not really the kind of person to hoard stuff. But
Emotional issues.
But he likes bugs. So I mean, he misses his bug friends. I imagine he'd have like a bug collection if he was gonna hold on to something.
He's got a pretty, extensive like goop viscera collection as well.
Yeah. I mean, he can.
I love the idea
can hold on to
of
goop,
Garou
too.
with a bug collection, though. That's so funny.
I'm gonna go. I'll go for Ophelia, since I think Ophelia is probably the closest to a self-insert I've ever had. Maybe not self-insert, but DMPC that I've ever had. I try not to let her be too important for that reason, but she is a former PC of mine, so I like to think that I know her very well. I think that if you asked her, she would say books.
Of course.
Because she's
Wizards.
very pragmatic like that. But
Yeah,
that's
the
not
real
what she would
answer?
actually want.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
I think what she would actually want is, I think she has a real obsession. She has a and she would give some academic reason for it, but that's just a justification. The real reason is that she just likes them. Stars. So I think she would have a collection of paintings and gems and jewelries and things that reminded her of stars.
Oh,
Look, she's just like me, for real.
oh, her ass is not immune to the allure of the Silmarils.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, very, very cool. Well, this next question comes from the chat. Speaking of maps, to all, we just got a full map reveal. Where are you most excited to visit in Brux, and does this differ from your characters?
Ooh.
Where in Brux are you guys excited to go from our little map moment? I haven't redrawn it nice. It's still in my notebook. So let me just pull this up real quick.
Yeah, I kind of have
please.
to. I kind of have to find it again.
I was gonna say, if you go to Roll20, you could probably find it.
I purposefully averted my eyes like a good person because we were told that we weren't going to be able to see the map after we left.
Oh, sorry, you weren't frantically making a sketchy version of it. I'll
no, that's nerd business, and I play jocks as we've established.
If I can make sure that you guys can see it on Roll20 if you want. Yeah, I mean, I did say that, but it's thus appeared. Oh, it's still hidden on Roll20. You're right.
Someone just put it somewhere in the Discord so I can see it.
Yeah.
Yay! Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Use Sophia's version, the version that Katya has.
Oh, right, the giant snake.
The giant snake is a strong
I am excited
point.
for the giant snake. I think the giant snake.
I was gonna say the living river is definitely something that I am.
I mean, she'd never say it out loud, but Katya's definitely interested in the cat lord situation. Having a memory for the first time ever is a very jarring experience that she really tried hard to like hide down there. But also, I don't want to, just not do due diligence to the fact that there's something called the Otter Lord as well.
Yeah. I think I saw the Squirrel Lord.
Oh, Squirrel Lord,
the Squirrel Lord. It's the Squirrel Lord is a flying squirrel, which is how I got around.
Whoa! You can't just drop this information now.
Squirrels
you
are
can't
not.
Just do that.
Squirrels are typically diurnal, like eastern gray squirrels. I think flying squirrels are technically more nocturnal, but they're crepuscular enough. I love the notion of a big ass squirrel and a big ass snake, and all the snake it wants in this whole wide world is to eat that squirrel.
I would love to go to the Library of All Knowledge. I am not immune. I would die in the in Wan Shi Tong's library.
And I'm too Here's the thing: I am too stressed about this whole aboleth situation to be excited to travel anywhere until we deal with that. It's
I
like,
mean, yeah, speaking as Kireek, yes, that is true. But as Noir, hey, giant snake, library of all knowledge, hit me
oh,
up.
of
Like,
course,
let's
of course.
fucking go, man.
Yeah.
I also, just because it sounds interesting, the Marquis of the Fireflies. I feel like that place, whatever it is
Yeah.
going to be a whole
A
vibe.
vibe, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I came up with for this plane. Along with the snake. One of the later additions, actually, a place that I'm excited that you guys might go, and you were close, is Harbor. And a harbor this is inspired by, if you haven't read, which you statistically you probably haven't, and there's really no need to, because I'm going to tell you everything interesting about it already. But the Jungle Book, the actual book itself, there's rules in there about hunting at water sources, because water is more important than food. So when there's a drought, they're like, okay, all the animals can come together, including Shere Khan and Bagheera and all the prey, and we can all drink water together, because we can all agree that's more important to our survival. No one will kill anyone else here and make a big faux pas out of it. That's one of the laws. And so I like that idea. So that's Harbor. Harbor is, you're not allowed to predator and prey can coexist, because water is supreme. Water is the greatest need, and thus you're not allowed to hunt or fight or kill anything at Harbor. So it's a play on, literally, it's a big body of water, but also it's a safe harbor.
It's a safe harbor. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cute.
Wally, is there anything on the map that you were particularly excited for, especially knowing that Garou has maybe spent time in Brux of anyone in the party?
If Guru, there's two things. One, we already did the whole Blackened Rings, the Blackstone Lodge, so getting that out of the way is great, fantastic. But Guru technically has a favorite spot here, in Brux, and the presence of the aboleth sickness in the water is kind of ruining it, but we'll save that for when that ever comes up in episodes. And no Banyan's here, and so in terms of what I'm excited for, so at some point if we run into no Banyan, I'm really excited for that encounter.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. We're all very excited about being in Brux now. Is I think the secret answer is, like, the whole map is very cool. I'd like to explore it.
Love to enjoy it someday.
Yeah.
At risk of
Well,
turning
check
into
back in
fucking
the
fishmen.
summer.
One of us is definitely gonna get sick, and we're gonna have to race against the clock to cure the sickness, aren't we?
Hey, I'm just saying, the monkey's paw can cast greater restoration, all right? We got 2 charges before it awakens, whatever that means.
Also, Guru has purified food and water, so
That's good.
Yeah, you guys can, like, drink or, like, be moderate. Yeah, with purified food and water, you don't really have to worry about, like, finding resources, but, you know.
everything else on the plane might be in trouble, though.
Yeah.
Everything else on the plane, and also if you need to, like, go into water.
Yeah. Katya still can't swim. So I'm not saying we have to do a swimming lessons episode, but we might have to do a swimming lessons episode.
There's a whole
Katya speed 0 when she's in the water.
Yeah.
God, you can only
That's how we played it every other time it's come up, so I think we have to stay true to it.
It's so funny.
I didn't realize when I offhandedly solo episode was like, oh, you know what? I wrote in my backstory that she's afraid of water because I think it's funny, you know, haha, the cat doesn't like being wet. I'll just say I don't have a swim speed. I can't swim. And then we kept getting dangled over water, and I was like, oh no. And then we get to Brux, and I'm like, what do you mean the aboleths are in the water?
If anything, this is very vindicating for Katya.
Yeah.
So much water here. Like, it's gonna be great. We're gonna figure it out.
If Katya finds herself in water in Brux, the least she has to worry about is the fact that she can't swim. You know,
she can't get out of it as fast as everyone else.
Doesn't she have like 8 different kinds of teleportation spells? She'll be fine.
Yeah. I focused on just trying to be able to poof somewhere else instead. But speaking of spells, we've got a question in the email about playing wizards to myself and Noir. Any advice on playing wizards and how to manage all of the spellbook stuff? Wizards somewhat notoriously have lots of things going on in their character sheets. How do you handle managing that?
I can't speak for Sophia. I don't think I play wizards well. I play wizards like bards, in which I don't prepare spells every day. I just kind of have a set roster, and I just don't change it at all. That's not really how you're supposed to play wizards. So I apologize. I don't really think I'm qualified to answer this.
I similarly prefer spellcasters who just have a set spell list, your sorcerers, your bards, etc. But like
Hell yeah.
Dani was an artificer. Artificers also prepare spells. So it like I think there is a way that you can kind of reconcile that in your brain. I find that overwhelmingly with wizards and artificers or any preparatory spellcasters, 90% of your spell list probably doesn't need to change day to day because
Yeah.
you're probably going to fall back into using the same spells in almost every situation. So I try to break it down into two categories. 90% of my spell list is basically never going to get touched. Things like Misty Step, Fireball, things that are going to come up in pretty much any situation and be useful. And then the weirder spells, in that other 10% category, those are the only ones I'll ever worry about changing day to day. And I only really change my prepared spells at the end of a day if I know we're going to gear up for an adventure. If it's a downtime day, I don't even think about it. But if I know, like, oh, well, we're gonna go fight the monkey lord tomorrow, I better, or the ape lord, I better, prepare spells appropriately. That's the only time I go to it. So my advice would be to kind of like play a few sessions, see what spells you actually like using, and then just kind of treat those as permanent mainstays on your spell list, and only worry about changing out ones that have less utility day to day. And also, like, just general piece of advice, reread your spell list all the time. I'm constantly rereading my sheet. That's why the Sophia bullshit TM is happening all the time. I am overwhelmingly spending all of the time that I'm not actively working on mic just reading through everything in my spell list and my inventory and reading the descriptions of those things therein. The more familiar you are with the material, the easier it's going to be to remember, oh, well, I know this spell does this, so I'll just try and prepare that appropriately. Unfortunately, you kind of just have to give yourself homework to play a wizard, but if you're playing a wizard, you might like homework anyway, so it all
Yeah.
sort of evens out.
Yeah.
Nerds.
That's some great actionable advice that I think I will also be applying for for games going forward if I ever play a wizard.
Wizards are super fun, but yeah,
They're
they can be a
great. They're
lot more
awesome.
work. But I have the same kind of general rule of thumb with any character I play, because even when I play like a bard or a fighter or whatever it is, like just rereading your sheet and knowing your abilities very intimately is really important for using them and remembering that they exist. So just reread your sheet. I know your DM has probably said this to you, and it applies to every game in existence. But yeah, you should constantly be reading your abilities to see what they are and try to remember the way that they work. Cool. Well, this next question comes from chat from Lady Loria. For Austin, your version of the conflict between Malar and the Cat Lord seems a bit different than the official lore. Was this always your plan, or did you tweak it to reflect the Garou Katya conflict?
Oh no, yeah, I tweeted to reflect the conflict. You got when your players hand you fertile soil, you got to plant seeds in it. So I always say take the canon, excuse me, the canon lore. I almost said the core. The canon lore is inspiration. Use as much as useful, and change the things that you either find boring or that you think are going to spur more interesting drama from your players. So yeah, I've definitely played it up and introduced stuff about I think it might have been a change in our lore that Malar won in killing the kitten lord. I think that might have been a change. And it was certainly a change that is the fight that led to his imprisonment. And no Banyan's involvement as well, I believe. All of that is minor adjustments based on actual solid, pre-established lore. So, I did it to make things more interesting.
When you're playing in a canon setting, it is always good to tweak things to make it work better for your game thematically or just for funsies. Make it your own is kind of the secret to playing in canon settings in general. We've got a question from the email. Hello, longtime fan of the podcast here. I have a question for Austin. How long had you been planning to present the option of the dragon working for the Bear Lord? As soon as you said it, everything that had happened with the dragon this season suddenly seemed to point in this direction. Was this intentional planning or just a pattern that naturally emerged? Thanks for making a great show. Looking forward to the next seasons. And I'll open this to Red as well, because obviously I don't think you knew that this was going to happen, but like how you felt about the dragon in general was critical to the season. Did you Austin, was this a planned moment, or was that kind of a spur of the moment? Ooh, I have a solution presented in front of me.
Oh, I think it actually came off something that Wally said, if I'm remembering correctly. Wally wanted them to fight, which was
Of
obviously a
course.
bad idea.
Yes.
We would have
Okay,
cheated.
don't
It
know
was-
that the
I was
Bear Lord-
I
I don't know
I
that the
technically
Bear
uncheated.
Lord
It's okay.
necessarily would have just killed. It's possible. I mean, here's the thing. I think that here's a good, an excellent DM advice in my opinion. Moment. If the dragon and the Bear Lord fought, the Bear Lord would obviously win. Much, much, much more powerful.
Mhm.
The Bear Lord, to me, seems like the kind of guy who would finish the job. But that's no fun. That's horrible. So you have to contextualize, okay, what do I know about the Bear Lord? How can I make it so that what can I rationalize? What can I come up with so that that doesn't happen? And of course they didn't fight, but that same headspace is kind of what led to, oh, but he might want a squire, basically, right? Like he might want this ward situation where there's a lot of, he benefits greatly in many different ways from having this dragon with him. He's got this powerful, going to be much more powerful creature that he can mold, that he can invest in. It also means that these powerful people, he can potentially, the Unicorn Knights, he might be able to call on them as allies because there's this dragon relationship there. He might be able to, if they turn on him, he might be able to hold the dragon hostage, right? Like there's suddenly this tapestry of possibilities for him. And so that kind of emerged naturally from having gone to visit the Bear Lord and the situation and Wally's suggestion. I hadn't considered the dragon leaving the party, but of course it made total sense. There's another thing I wrote about. If you want to read the post-mortem and get more details, you can join our Patreon to read the post-mortem I wrote up. But I was like, as soon as it happened, it made total sense to me. It was the perfect solution because we've been struggling all season with the dragon is cool. We like the dragon. We needed to get the dragon because the end of season 1 needed a win. And that was getting the dragon back. If they weren't going to defeat Vasilix, they needed to get the dragon. So they got the dragon back. That was the win. So we needed to have the dragon. All well and good. We like the dragon. We want the dragon around, but we don't want the dragon to die in combat. So the dragon keeps getting sent away, which I didn't want to be routine. So I made him hate that. Right? That's the drama. But then I was like, okay, but if he hates it and they keep doing it anyway, eventually he's going to leave and that's going to be no fun. So we need to come up with a good reason for him to leave. And I don't want to speak for you, Red, but I think it was a little annoying to have to manage this second character stat block during combat. You're already a high-level character. So that was another reason we didn't want the dragon around. So suddenly I was like, okay, I have all these problems. And then there was this solution that fell right into the perfect Venn diagram of all these circles of, we want the dragon around, but we don't want it to be in combat. It has to leave, but it can't go too far. Otherwise, why would Triss want to stay around? We need the leaving to be more dramatic, not less dramatic, right? The situation needs to go. It can't go from fire to frying pan. We always have to go from frying pan to fire. So we have to go into the Bear Lord's grasp now. So that was kind of the perfect coalescence of events, the perfect solution. Red, I don't know how you feel.
Oh yeah, I think it really came together very organically. Obviously, I would not have planned like I think we should offload the dragon, and here's what I want to do. You know, like this is all very emergent. I think that because of course, like Triss's goal was get the dragon egg, get dragon back to grandmother. When dragon turned out to be a live dragon instead of egg, things got complicated because suddenly it's like, well, I still have my one task because if I fuck this up, I will have failed, and that's not acceptable. So for a while there, it was like, okay, well, dragon is still here because we can't go home yet because we don't have a way to go home yet. But then as soon as dragon indicated that the dragon would want to stay in the Beastlands if given the choice, suddenly things get a little more complicated because Triss is like, well, I can't unilaterally make a decision for you because that goes against everything I believe in. Grandmother can unilaterally make decisions for you because she's your mom, but that's different. So basically it was like, okay, cool. When we get the ability to travel back to the material plane, then you can argue that out with her. But for the meantime, that argument is on hold because it's not relevant. So the Bear Lord, the idea to sort of apprentice the dragon to the Bear Lord was kind of a very useful midway point because dragon gets to stay in the Beastlands for the immediate future. And if dragon wants to stay in the Beastlands for longer, has now like a good argument for why that should be permitted, having lived there for some amount of time, studied with a beast lord, carved out a space in the ecology for himself. And it also takes some of the onus off of Triss. Is like you could kind of see there was a little bit of a, I don't think it turned into a logjam, but there was a little bit of like agency fight because Austin didn't want to make a decision for a character that was based on my character for me, but I didn't want to make a decision on the dragon's behalf because, again, Triss believes in freedom, right of all sentient beings, yada yada yada. So it's like, okay, dragon has to want to do this, but Triss can't say that, and Austin can't say that. So how do we sort of finagle this into that? And I think it ended up working as like Dragon developing a sense of duty about it, like because because he messed up with Lysandra, it's like, okay, well, it is my responsibility to fix this, so I can do this. And I thought it was super cool and very elegant, and it definitely like pushed a few problems further down the road because it was less that I didn't like running the dragon in combat. It's more like Red and Trystine are in agreement on this. Dragon getting hurt in fight is not acceptable. He's to put it bluntly, he's not useful enough in a fight to justify him taking any damage in the process. He doesn't make or break any given combat encounter on our behalf, so he may as well stay home, but he doesn't want to do that. Which is interesting conflict, but like him having something to do that does not involve flinging himself into danger for the party was ideal for Triss. It's very cool how well it worked out because we did not plan it from the jump.
Yeah, super cool. It was a really cool moment. It was fun to listen back to that because we obviously Noir and I were adventure when we recorded that session. So going back in the edit, I was like, oh, so that's what they got up to while we were dying in the desert of dehydration. Well, we got another question here from the email. This is from Crimson. Hi, I really enjoy the characters this season, especially Katya. My question is, how do you play a character with a personality different from your own? I keep playing similar characters and would change things up a bit. So how do you play a character that might have different traits or make different choices than you would?
Should we just go down the line? I feel like we all probably have opinions on this.
I guess Austin first then.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, this is tough. Actually, it's funny. This is something I've discussed with because I think that was like an older problem that used to come up when we were role playing. When we were playing, our first D&D we ever played. We were in the same campaign run by her brother. Yeah, it's easy to fall back on stuff you would do. I have a couple solutions. One is, playing like a lighter character that doesn't have that much going on, so you don't need to, like Davian, right? I don't think of Davian as very, very myself, although I like to put my humor into him. So you could just kind of play a lighter character that doesn't have that much going on, and so, when it comes to big decisions, you can kind of justify whatever feels fun in the moment. I think a better advice though would be instead of steer into the skid, right? Instead of playing a character that is nothing like yourself, choose one thing about yourself to play into.
Yeah.
And kind of focus on that and leave the other stuff off. And that can help you still think the way that you naturally think, but you can kind of emphasize one aspect instead of just kind of playing a character who behaves exactly like you, right? This character that behaves like you if you cut out some other pieces. Play a himbo exactly, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that was going to be my advice. I haven't done many like.
And that's why you're my favorite, Noir.
Okay.
We can't establish this as canon.
I feel that may already be.
I haven't been like casted in like many roles, like I haven't done a lot of acting. I've done a little bit of like traditional like plays and theater and stuff like that. But the ones that the roles that I have been cast in have been very much what Austin said. It's like I think I was cast for that role because I could find myself in that character, not completely, but there was like a very a significant enough aspect about my character that I could play up and kind of embody with the lines. And it ended up being the same with all three of the main the main campaign characters. Virla is very much my academic side, Ubtaglor my theatrical side, and Kireek my angsty side. So
we all have one.
Yeah. So, like you for me, I find that it's this weird balance, I suppose, where it's like you start by finding some kind of trait that you want to play up, but in the process of playing up these other traits, like Austin said, other traits of yours fall away, and oftentimes, at least for me, they become replaced with other traits that make sense and kind of branch off from that main trait.
Mhm.
Like Ooptagler is very theatrical and bombastic. They've also become, and as a result, they've also become very like arrogant and self-assured and like conceited almost, you know. And like I don't know if I would necessarily consider myself any of those traits, but that just kind of came up naturally from the core trait of just being very theatrical, you know. So
Yeah.
you'll find that if your process is anything like mine, that through the exploration of just a single trait of yours and just kind of amplifying that, other aspects that are unique for that character and actually not unique for yourself and then not true to yourself actually like take its place and kind of fill out the character in that regard.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of truth to the idea that a character pulls on like a small number of your character traits and sort of elevates them to the exclusion of others. I do think that it's a slightly incorrect idea that you can't play a character who is dissimilar to you, because I think the view from inside your own head is going to be a lot more complicated than anyone else's view of you. So you may think like, well, these characters are just me, but again, I'm just playing, the same guy over and over again. But you, from the inside, have way more things going on. You conceive of all of the actions you've ever even thought about taking, or all the patterns of thought that you've ever indulged in. People on the outside only see how you actually are. So
That's
you
true.
can
Yeah.
you can appear to be playing wildly different characters, but internally you see the logical threads that tie them all together. Um, I think it's a Brennan Lee Mulligan bit in an Adventuring Academy episode where they discuss that like it's like the character is a stained glass window and you're the
Mhm.
light shining behind
Hmm.
it. So the stained glass window it can only ever filter the light you're putting out, but the stained glass window can have quite a lot of patterns of its own. And as long as you're putting out a color of light that isn't blocked out by it, the metaphor kind of falls apart. But you know what I mean, like you the person are your own thing, but you have quite a lot of potential. You understand a lot of different ways of being, and one of the easier ways of building a character is just picking kind of a road not taken, a path of thought that maybe you don't indulge in. This is one of the ways to build complicated villains too, because most of us are not huge evil jerks, as a rule. We tend to be pretty all right people. But the idea of like, well, if I was going to be evil, it would be because of this, or like maybe I had a priority that was like the most important thing. Maybe I got caught up by the sunk cost fallacy and I fell way too far into it, or maybe I just like I focused so hard on this that it was easy to forget that other people also matter. These are all things that you wouldn't do. You as a person would never like actually act that way, but you as a mind can understand that pattern of thinking, and all you need to do to play a character is understand what's going on under the hood.
Yeah, for sure. To give it like, because I think there's a different way of thinking about it when we, as performers and an actual player, are thinking about how we need to separate ourselves from the characters versus how it might come up for you as a home game player. Um, I like to put clear lines in place, guide rails that I can use to differentiate character and Sophia the person. And one of the ways I do that is by always having a distinctive voice for the character. It doesn't have to be an accent necessarily. Dani was sounded insane, but but that's why all my characters have very distinctive voices compared to how I sound when I speak, because it's an easy thing in my brain to help me separate character and person. As kind of an extension of all the advice that's been given so far. I don't think it's possible to ever play a character that doesn't have a little bit of yourself in there somewhere.
Mhm.
Um, but the amount of yourself that you put into that character can be very, very small. It can be one specific aspect, and then you can build the rest out around it. Another tool that's very useful is to, if you want to play a specific kind of character, find a reference. Basically, this is the same way
Mm.
that I find voices for my
Yeah.
characters. But like, I might say to myself, "Oh, I really want to play I really want to play a Hawkeye type. I really want to
Mhm.
be, the Clint Barton of this all." And then I would just consume a lot of media with that character in it, or maybe it's a character I know from something that I already love, and that kind of attempt to play a specific character that already exists, but by the nature of the role playing game, I will be putting my own spin on it. Helps me play traits that might not be ones that I think of myself as having. And I think that can be a really useful tool as well, because at the end of the day, like, there's no right or wrong way to play a character. You don't necessarily have to play a character that's different from you. You can play a character that is exactly you, but now they know how to use a sword better. That's also completely viable. But if the goal is playing traits that you yourself do not necessarily have, find characters who do have those traits. Give yourself those guide rails to on ramp a little bit easier into getting into character and to thinking of what that character would do, because you have references for what they've done in similar situations, and have fun with it. And yeah, it is very fun to come up with a silly voice. I can't recommend having a silly voice for your character enough. I think it really does
Silly
help,
voice goes a long way.
differentiate.
Yeah.
When Katya does her funny little bit in her accent and it sounds so silly, ha ha ha, it's very different from when Sophia does her stupid little bit in my normal voice. And it helps differentiate the stupid shit that's coming out of my mouth in both directions.
Oh, and yes. In terms of me, I like to play different characters. I like to switch it up. But it's all a combination of what everybody else has said. Take certain aspects of yourself, amplify them, stick with character tropes if you have to. You'll find that you yourself are a very complex person. You have a lot of ways of approaching the world, and adapting known tropes, setting them to whatever environment or setting the campaign is in. I look at the pitch document that Austin sent at the beginning of the campaign all the time to remind me of, okay, great, I'm going to filter this character through these questions. And as for, I was actually, the other day I was looking at, I came up with a list of like characters to like, that were inspirations for Garou, which was the Lich's fanaticism from Adventure Time, Luthen Rail from Andor, and his attitude of he gave literally everything for a cause he believed in. Ramatra being the anti-villain proposed by Overwatch, in which they dropped the ball for his lore, in my opinion. And then Egon and his desperation from Elden Ring, a character from Elden Ring, as well as some real life inspirations from characters from history as well. So like all of these I try to pull and put into, and that's just Garou, right? The inspirations for all my other characters. This is why I have a giant document. I just need to put them all there so that when I find myself in crossroads of where to push this character next, how to interact with some of the other people at the table, I can go back to the document and be like, okay, great. These are all my dumb thoughts. Let's make them go somewhere.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Well, we I think are just about at time for the stream. We're going to fit one last question in here because I've seen a few versions of it floating around in chat. But before we get to that, just wanted to real quick thank everyone for joining us for this Q&A, whether you're listening live or you're going to catch us on the VOD later. We will be back this summer with season 3 of Hunting Party, but in the interim, we've got a couple exciting one-shots coming. To give a little bit of a teaser to one that you can kind of expect in early May, we're going to be playing Draw Steel with a friend of the pod, Jacques the Whipper, as our special guest player. So stay tuned for more info on that, for release dates. It's going to be very, very exciting. We're excited to dip into Draw Steel on the pod. As well as we continue to have BlueSky pages. We continue to have the YouTube community tab and the Discord, which are all great places to keep up with fan works and cool conversations. The Discord in particular has tons of cool conversations about this campaign and all our other sessions and lots of other nonsense going on all the time. So definitely check that out. And if you want bonus content from the whole cast, you want to support the pod in general, you can check us out on Patreon. It's a great way to support the podcast and get access to cast created extra content, whether that's fictions, art, all sorts of cool things. Austin, as mentioned, does these postmortems. We've done talkbacks about different systems that we played in some of the one shots. So it's a lot of cool stuff on there. It's definitely worth signing up for. Hey, sign up for a month and then quit after a month after you've read your fill. Go nuts. We're not gonna.
Yeah. A lot of people
that.
ask about that. If you sign up for 1 month, you get access to everything that exists. There's no law, and we certainly don't mind if you sign up for 1 month. Things are tough out there. You know, if you want to get the goods and then get out, cool, do that, and maybe we'll see you again next year to get the 12 months that you missed. You know.
You legally do have to say hacker voice I'm in though before you get in and get out. And then you got to talk into your invisible earpiece and be like, I got the stuff. I'll meet you at the rendezvous.
Yep.
Yeah, but super, super fun. Lots of stuff to look forward to and cool things to check out in the break. can't wait to play with Jack. But in the meantime, let's answer one last question here before we sign off. I've seen several variations of this in chat going through, but basically it boils down to, if in a hypothetical campaign 4, what plane, much like the Beastlands, would you want a campaign set in? So if we were each going to pick a plane to do an adventure, to do a full campaign in, what plane would it be?
I gotta consult my map. Hold on.
Oh, this is easy for me. I can answer this right now. Carcerite.
Ooh, do it.
Hands down.
I don't know.
We've
I don't know
talked
about like a
that one.
full campaign, right? Like
I've been reading
I don't know
enough. I think there's enough there.
I would love to do like a season or 2 in Carcerite, you know, just kind of like an Escape from Carcerite type deal.
Okay, maybe. Okay, I'll take a season.
Right, like, you know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know how. This is a limitation of my imagination, and it's up to Austin really, like prolonging it for you know, longer than that. I don't know how that would go, but I've also had thoughts about like an Escape from Carcerite campaign.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it in the past. I don't think it's any secret that that's certainly our most discussed possibility. There are other ones, but I think that Escape from Carcerite is something we've never seen before. I think there are planes that can't support a whole adventure, like Elysium, and I think there are planes that can support a whole adventure, like the Nine Hells, but Baitor. I think that Carcerite is potentially unlike anything anyone else has really done on a as mainstream as ours. We're not super mainstream, but as mainstream as ours. So, I think that has a lot of interest for us and for you guys, clearly.
Yeah, kind of jumping off of Austin's. I think 2 answers to this. I just think it'd be really fun to do a whole aquatic campaign and kind of, because I'm in my mind, I'm picturing the underwater like Gungan situation from like the Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
But I just think it'd be very cool to get the underwater adventures and have to travel in like a submarine or something and like figure out how that looks. I don't know that there's enough text there to really support a campaign, but that's my like pie in the sky dream of dreams. But the campaign I think would be like really feasible would be go to not break out of the 9 hells, but to break into them, because we've introduced the idea of trains exist in the hells. So why can we not do our Snowpiercer, our bullet train, our infinity train? Why can we not be on a runaway train getting deeper and deeper into Baitor? I think it could be really fun to have to
that would be cool.
be a bat into hell, so to speak. Yeah.
I feel like Arborea is another like really adventure friendly plane. Just like admittedly I know very little about it. I'm just looking at the map and I'm like, yeah, lots of trees. That sounds fun. But I do think that breaking out of Carcerite could be really fun. Or rather trying to break out of Carcerite could be fun. I also think we could go full edgy. We could go like Hades, Gehenna, like the weird ones.
Yeah. We're entering our bad boy phase, you guys. This is the symbiote suit. This is the invincible blue suit era.
We're all in a
Exactly.
competition to see who could be the bad boy of the pod again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Hades or Hades or Gehenna, both are interesting. They need a hook as good as, you know, Carcerite, right? Or the Abyss or the Hells. To me, Gehenna and Hades, they're interesting, but they're not. They're a one-time stop, and I think I need to put a different spin on them to make them full campaign worthy. But of course, it's an evil place. There's a lot of things to fight and kill.
Always fun.
Yeah, I feel like we're all breezing past too. It might be too similar to the Beastlands, but the Feywild is there. You know, always fun to do a
Feywild
campaign.
An entire adventure. So
yeah. But yeah, lots of cool places to go. Who knows where we'll go next? I know where we'll be this summer, back in the Beastlands in Brux, I assume, for some time. For at least a season, probably. Who knows? We haven't recorded yet. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. We will, as mentioned, catch you back this summer in the Beastlands. Check us out on socials, on the Discord, on Patreon in the interim, and stay tuned for more information on one-shots. And thank you guys for joining us for the hunting party through 2 seasons. It feels like we only just began with this this campaign, so it's so crazy to me that we're already 2 seasons deep. It's been super fun, and it's been super fun having you guys along for the ride. So no further ado. Thanks for listening. Wally,
sorry.
Take us out of here.
Goodbye, guys. I'll catch y'all later.
It's pronounced carcery.